Experience tranquility.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Iris Podcast. Joining me tonight, I have NPC currently researching.
I'm in the clean room.
He's researching Akir. What can he do? What can't he do, everyone?
I know.
And then also joining me is Specs. Specs surrounded by a big old L. Yep. You know it's true. How'd that Paris Eternal game go?
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Still, I haven't had a chance to make fun of you yet. I think I forgot last time.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Ski Free Yeti, everybody. Welcome to the Iris Podcast. Doug, unfortunately, can't be here tonight. He is moving and forgot internet. So he is unable to attend this podcast tonight. So we are going a little old school, no frames, just the three of us. We are going to rock this, and we are going to dive right in to our first segment of the day, and that is Amp It Up. We're going to go right into the first question that we ask every week, and that was, what stood out to you about Week 3 in the Overwatch Tranquility community? NPC, start us off.
Not just Week 3, but the whole season so far, the whole stage so far, in general, in Transcendence Tier, not a single map 5. I've been expecting it, but Transcendence Tier, I guess it's like really lopsided or something, because there's a lot of 4-0s and a few 3-1s in there, and that's it. There's no map 5s. It's either a win or a loss. So interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, Specs?
Incredibly lopsided there. For me at least, there's two favorites in that tier, and then it's everyone else. So makes a lot of sense. But for me, it's Get Off My Land. They're legit. Somehow. I don't know how, but
we don't know how.
They're good. I mean, rather be lucky than good any day, I guess, and keep it rolling. So.
If NPC DPS works, then what have we all come to? Honestly, that is the real question. No, for me, what I noticed this week is just going back to the Transcendence tier. There's just definitely some interesting teams, kind of again rising and falling. Houston In-Laws sitting 3-0. They're tied at the top of the B pool right now with Second Chance. Houston In-Laws off to a great start without question. But one thing I was going to comment on is less about Tranquility, more about Open Division. Right now, Tranquility has a lot of teams competing at a really high level in Open Division. We have a few teams at 4-0 between Maximize Gaming, Poisonous, Second Chance, all sitting at 4-0. I know 3-1 teams. I know for sure we got Houston In-Laws, just had a tough loss on Sunday. Havoc had a 3-2 loss to another playoff team from last season. So obviously a ton of talent, and it's really just kind of showing you that the Transcendence tier really showcases some of the pinnacle talent that's kind of bridging onto tier 3 in Overwatch. So that's been refreshing to see. What are we looking forward going into Week 4, NPC?
Week 4, I think this is the part of the stage where teams either clinch the top tier or they're stuck in the bottom tier. This is that week for almost all the teams. Stage 2 depends entirely on this week. So it's do or die time, and I think we're going to start seeing like higher level performances across the board from all the teams, even those teams that have yet to win games. The teams that really struggle, teams are finding their chemistry. They're making roster changes. They're bringing people in, taking people out. They're finally finding out where they belong. And I feel like this is the week to watch. If you're going to watch Tranquility any week, it's going to be this one, because after this Week 5, it's going to be sandbag time. And so, Week 4, we're going to start seeing the peak.
Specs, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, there's really one pool that I think out of the 6 of them that exist right now that is so wide open and up in the air. It's Pool B in the Discord tier. And I think the match this week that's really going to exemplify that is Hanamura Hellhounds versus Caliber. I think that match, it's a toss-up. I mean, I think there's 1 or 2 matches in that pool that's kind of set in stone. That match in particular is just a toss-up. So like NPC was saying, think a lot of that parity is going to kind of come out this week, kind of iron itself out. We're going to see the teams rise to the top, and then we're going to see some teams that fall to the bottom.
And keep in mind, falling to the bottom means you move down to pool when it comes to the seeding phase here coming up next stage. That stage is coming up just around the corner. Oh, I need to sign into Screencastify, apparently. There's a little screenshot for you there, a little shot of my home screen for you. But anyways, for those of you, oh, by the way, real quick, I'm going to say this now. Get into the giveaway now. The entries will close right before the comms check. That's coming up later on the podcast. If you are trying to get in, please do this ASAP before the comms check. Once the comms check starts, we will pull the entries. We will clear the list, and then everything after that is going to be for next week's drawing. So something to keep in mind there for you guys if you are looking to get into that giveaway. And keep in mind, giveaway is going to keep rolling. We're going to keep doing this. This is something that we enjoy. We've been happy to see a lot of you guys tuning in. We would like to see more of it. And there is a special giveaway that is planned coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. It's coming during event week. So if you really want to ramp up some of those giveaway or channel points, now would be a good time to do so. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to the final question of, what I was looking forward to in week 4. For me, it comes down to Houston In-Laws versus Second Chance. Obviously, Houston In-Laws, there's been a lot of talk about the In-Laws coming into this point. They kind of came in, were looked at as maybe kind of a doormat in the Transcendence tier. They made some roster changes, and they are no longer seen as a doormat. That's very clear. They are definitely not at the bottom of the Transcendence tier. However, they have a matchup against Second Chance. Second Chance looks to be at one of the very top teams in the Transcendence tier. So it's Houston In-Laws versus Second Chance. This is the prove-it match for me for Houston In-Laws. If they can pull this off, that would be definitely an upset. I think a lot of people will look at it as an upset. But at the same time, this is Houston In-Laws' chance to prove that this isn't a fluke and it's not just an easy schedule that's gotten them to this point. So I look for Houston In-Laws to try to really make an impact this week. Do I think they will? Yeah. But they're
just like real In-Laws, they show up and then they just will not go away.
Yeah, there you go. That's or the boomer jokes are reserved for comms check. Anyways, let's go to bold predictions moving forward here. NPC, what do you got?
I got bold prediction. It may not be quite as bold as I would like it to be, or you would like it to be, but I wrote it way earlier. I think the potatoes are making top tier. I got my potatoes on today. Potatoes are making top tier next.
Is that a Ski Free Yeti vintage jersey?
This is a vintage Ski Free Yeti. Wow. This was purchased like the week before he dropped.
It's true. It's true.
I'm gonna hang it over there with my XQC Dallas Fuel jersey. So
wow, that's an honor. Yeah. Why would you put Felix next to me? That's the question I want to know.
They're both feeder main tanks.
You're not wrong. And what do you think, Specs? What's your bold prediction for the rest of the way?
Oh, I mean, back to the shirts. I mean, both of them are essentially useless, so it's fine. So, I think I'm going to go back to that Houston In-Laws game. Not only will Houston In-Laws lose 4-0, Second Chance will beat Havoc twice this season.
Whoa, twice. So during the regular season and
the postseason.
And
during
in
the regular season and then in the finals. Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, that will bring me to a future segment coming up here very soon. A new segment we'll be coming to later. However, in the interim, we get to come to our weekly plays montage. This one is put together again by the one who brought it to you last week, and that is Demo. So enjoy.
To see if they can move their way in. Naylor's coming up on either side. Shatter! That's a six-man shatter. It's going to be huge, and they know it's a high noon coming in right now for My Big Marv. The defense maker's not able to hold on long enough. Takedown speed in.
You're powered up. Get in there. Ende.
Buckle up. This gunslinger's loaded.
Ends up getting taken out right there. The shatter coming in, another fat one. Now from Yang Chen, team kill. Late rings loud and proud. Oh! That's a huge power coming in from PDG. If they can pick them off, here comes the shatter. Already Wolfen with the quintuple Death Blossom. Blizzard now being invested from Air by taking them out with a blizzard.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Ain't no stopping me.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Thank you again to Demel for that awesome montage. Really, really good work there, man. We appreciate it, and we'll definitely continue to look for your work here down the line. Moving on, then, we come to a new segment, and this is a segment we are introducing, and I brought on to the casters very suddenly today, but the idea is that I wanted to surprise them with some questions they weren't necessarily have time to prepare for. This segment is called Flashbangs, and we will come in now first with the first question of the day, which is Poisonous Overwatch. They are sitting at 2-1 with a close loss to Second Chance in week 2. They are sitting at 4-0 in the Open Division. They are one of the top teams in SR average and continue to improve, it seems, every week. Open Division looks to be a prime spot for them. They're making a push towards the playoffs. One of the top teams in OD right now is Poisonous Overwatch, or Poisonous OW, a legitimate threat to the Tranquility Transcendence Tier Championship. What do you think, NPC?
Yes. Yes, I think so.
Yes. Specs?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Not at all? Anything to add on that? No? All right.
Yeah.
Moving on then, we have the second question is, will Team Havoc, currently former OD playoff team, sitting at 3-1 in Open Division right now and 3-0 in Pool A in the Transcendence tier, run away with the Transcendence tier this season? NPC?
Runaway is a strong word. Will they win it? Probably. Will they totally 4-0 the rest of the season? Probably not.
Specs, what do you think? Havoc?
I mean, they have to be the favorite at this point. But again, Runaway, no.
No.
I think that they have at least a contender against them, and I think they're it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. So
Hanamaru Hellhounds came in with a lot of hype this season. They came in and they've dropped the second week in a matchup that was hotly contested. And then against a certain team here who will be unnamed. But anyways, and then week 3 answered back with another victory. Is Hanamaru Hellhounds up to the challenge against 3-0 Caliber? NPC, what do you think?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's going to be a really close game. I'm going to say yes. I think they are. I mean, up to the challenge just means it's going to be a good game. It's going to be, contested. It's not going to be a 4-0. It's not going to be like an easy win. I feel like the Hellhounds, maybe they were overhyped a little bit by somebody on this podcast.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, maybe they were overhyped a little bit.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But I mean, they're still a good team, and I feel like they've got a lot of potential. And any team on any given week can win. So I think so.
What do you think, Bex?
No,
No,
they're not. No.
they're not up at
I
all.
mean, I don't think so. No, I think a lot of that hype was coming from a specific individual that was not shared by the rest of the podcast potentially. But we'll leave that there. But no, I think Caliber win 3-1 4-0 this week.
All right. Considering you said earlier it could go either way, you're still thinking possibly a 4-0 Caliber, huh?
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. Let's take it back to the Harmony tier. Get Off My Land off to the impressive 3-0 start, despite seemingly having no plan going into every week. NPC, do you have a response?
We don't have a plan. We really don't. We get out there, we play the heroes we want to play, we have a good time. I make sure that everybody gets to play the hero or the role that they want to play that map. It's just for fun, and we can't believe it's working. We really can't. We're just like we're in shock every time we win a map. When we get a draw on Hanamura, we're like, yes, this is the win, guys. We've done it.
And then you win. And then you win anyways.
Somehow, yeah, I don't know.
It's an impressive run without a question. Specs, your reaction, and will it continue?
My reaction is what is going on, and maybe I legitimately don't know. I think hero pools is actually going to kind of affect things, and we don't know how that's going to go yet, though. So it's up in the air.
Maelstrom and One Tricks are both off to a rough start in the Discord tier. Both teams at 0-3. Maelstrom had a very strong season last season in the Harmony tier. Jump to Discord tier has been a little rough. Hasn't worked out for them quite yet. One Tricks still trying to find their way as well in the Discord tier. Both teams have a matchup against each other next week. Will both teams be going into that week winless? Or will we see one of the teams finally cracking through that barrier this week?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. I'd hate to see any team go into week 5 winless, but it might happen. It just might happen. Both those teams are coming from Harmony tier. Both those teams a little bit lower on the SR average. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I hope not. I would hope that every team gets at least one victory in each stage, but I mean, obviously they're going to have to because they'll play each other. But going into week 5, I kind of want to see at least one of them have a win.
Ooh, it makes sense. Specs, what do you think?
Plead the fifth.
Overtime, final question of the day. Overtime recently made some roster additions. Taking a look at that team, they recently added Void Kitten, one of the stronger DPS free agents that was sitting out there, as well as Fooligan from the Transcendence tier dropping down, and then as well as free agent unavailable. We see 3 agents coming into overtime now, looking to make some big moves coming up here in the Discord tier. Currently sitting at 2-1 with wins over both Maelstrom and One Tricks. They lost last week to Caliber 3-0. They have matches against Tailwind and Alt F4. What is the overtime record at the end of this stage?
Overtime record. Right now they're at 1-2, you say?
2-1.
2-1.
With matches
okay.
against Tailwind and Alt F4 to come.
Okay, so let's go with 3-2. Let's go with 3-2. I feel like the additions that they made are really strong. So Void Kit, pretty strong. And then bringing someone from Transcendence tier that plays now in Discord tier, that's a boon for any team except for Alt F4. And that's why I think they're going to lose it because, Alt F4 picked the wrong person to bring down.
Specs, what do you think? Where do they end up?
So, no BM. Legitimate question. Who did they bring down from Transcendence to?
Fooligan? He was on Animus. Ouch. Are you sure that's no BM?
Oh.
Okay. 2-3 with 1 map win. All right.
Wow.
You also forgot they picked up a new main tank as well. A lot of moving parts on that roster.
It's true. That is true. That is true. Yeah, and Tailwind just brought in Climate too, which is going to certainly make that roster interesting. And it's kind of one final point here before we wrap this segment is a lot of teams just made some moves. Like a lot of teams just made some moves, especially in Pool B. We saw obviously Tailwind makes some moves. Overtime made some moves. Eclipse made some recent moves. Alta 4 made some recent moves. Like, the middle of that is such a ridiculous jumble right now that any one of those teams could, in theory, make a run at getting into A tier. It's unlikely for some teams, but like, I think Alta 4 has probably the toughest road to get there of those 6 teams, but like, any one of those 6 teams could be an A-tier team in Pool B. So that's just the crazy thing about Pool B right now. Anyways, that is Flashbangs for the day. We're going to go now into our weekly segment, Mount Rushmore, and we have a few questions to run through today on Mount Rushmore. The first question we will get to today is the team where we have the implementation of hero pools coming into to stage 2. We made an announcement to team leadership earlier today. If you have any questions about that, please consult your GM. Basically, what it boils down to, we'll be using the current week OWL bans moving forward in stage 2. Stage 1 will remain a gentleman's agreement between the teams if they desire to use hero pools. However, once stage 2 hits, we will use the current week Overwatch League bans that are in place, which means it's about 3 days before the weekly matches. So obviously, it leaves a short time to prepare. There's going to be some effect to that. People won't have as much time to practice, which can be a good or a bad thing. The question is which team is going to be most impacted by hero pools? Not necessarily just negative, but most impacted by hero pools. NPC, would you start us off, please?
Okay. Are we going? Do I pick one from any tier, or do I pick one from each tier?
Any tier.
Any tier. Okay. Well, I picked only one for all 3 tiers, and I think the most. I picked one for every tier, but I think the most impacted, we've already seen it, was Pogfish. We saw that feature match, and things did not go well. They did agree to use hero bans, but there are a lot of maps where a lot of teams have been playing things like May Reaper, and there's a very established meta. Then all of a sudden you got a hero ban, and you've been practicing something, and you don't know what you're playing against. You're going up against other teams that aren't playing it, and with only 3 days notice, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess, and a lot of our teams are using Tranquility to practice essentially for open division. So that's kind of what we want to allow and facilitate. So I get that, but at the same time, 3 days, that's not a lot of time. And I think some teams prepare one way and then something else happens. So we saw it happen to Pogfish, and I think that's going to continue to happen.
What do you think, Specs?
Yeah, my first reaction is jump to the Transcendence tier as well. Gonna be honest, if you want to be a team that competes at a high level at this tier in open division, you need to have that game sense, that knowledge between your in-game leader, your coaching staff, every player from the top of the bottom to that roster. And I think that, again, leaves kind of 2 teams at the top that really understand that and can really push forward with it. And then I think there's another team we've seen a little bit of inflexibility from. I think Wrap It Up is actually going to be hurt very significantly by the hero bans. If one of their go-to heroes is banned, what are they doing?
Well, I mean, Roadhog's one of their go-to heroes, and that's never going to be banned, so...
Okay.
But no, I hear that. I definitely think that's a completely valid point. Let's move then. For me, when I'm looking at this, I'm going back to the Harmony tier. We talked a little bit before. Harmony tier, I think, is probably going to be the most inflexible tier. I think a lot of the Harmony tier is going to struggle at times, and I think that plays positively into a team like Get Off My LAN. But the team I think is going to be most negatively impacted is actually a team I coach. That's the Fighting Potatoes. I think hero bans hurt them a lot more than people think. I think they have a few incredibly good players, but if they're off their main heroes, I think they struggle. And it's sad to say, and this is part of me as a coach calling out my own team to get better. But at the same time, I think the hero bans might hurt them a lot more than a lot of other teams. So I think if I looked at those 2, I would say it's between Get Off My LAN and Potatoes, and I think I'm going to go Potatoes. So
always go Potatoes.
All right. Next question is this is kind of something that somebody brought up a little bit on Twitter. Decided to talk about it here. We're looking at teams underperforming. Straight up underperforming teams. They're really struggling. 0-3, 1-2, barely squeaking by. Which of those teams is most likely to improve and sneak their way through, make a run in stage 2, maybe in the playoffs? Which team is most likely to get there? What do you think, NPC?
For me, I looked at teams that have yet to win or like you said, very very close. And it came down to me, and I think Illusion. I think Illusion. I think they've got some talent on the team. They've got some coaches on the team that are going to help them out. I think they're just trying to find their footing. They're going to try to find their balance. They'll get there. Maybe finals, probably not, but I think they're going to start actually showing up and doing things in the coming weeks.
Specs, what do you think?
Yeah, I also went with a winless team, even though they've only played two matches. I have Instalock. I think they have a makeup match with Habaneros tomorrow, I believe. I think they end up taking that one 3-1. Then they have Beer Pressure this week in the feature. I think they also take that one, and then they go into a week 5 with Illusion, and I think they take care of business there as well. I think they have a schedule that can really start building momentum with those 3 games, and excited to see what they do.
Trashing on Illusion, despite them being the horse you picked at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
And you picked DDoS too, right?
Huge mistake.
You picked Havoc though, right?
Also a mistake.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Okay.
Interesting. All right. All right. Let's go then to me. Underperforming for team for me. I'm gonna take it down. I think into the Transcendence tier, and I am going to take a look at Maximize Gaming. Maximize right now is 0-3. Now, granted, the first week was an unfortunate forfeit. The first week was an unfortunate loss to Exiles, who looks pretty dang good. They had a rough match then against Havoc. Tough to beat Havoc in general. Let's just be realistic here. And then they followed that up, unfortunately having to forfeit in a very winnable match up against Venomous. I'm sorry, not against Venomous, pardon me. I forget who they actually played off the top of my head, but it doesn't matter. I remember they had a very winnable match. I believe it was Malevolent. But anyways, I digress. Uncommitted. Thank you. That was the other team that I was talking about. See, I don't have my notes in front of me because I left them at work because I'm going to blame coronavirus or something. But the team that I definitely look at as Maximize, they're 4-0 in Open Division right now. They're playing really good Overwatch in general. They got a good-looking roster. If they can figure out some of the problems they've been having attendance-wise, their schedule gets a lot easier. They can probably go 2-3 the rest of the way, and even if they end up in a C tier, they're going to be a scary C tier team. They could sweep that pool quite easily. So I look at Maximize, the team that I think is most likely to get moving here. All right. Last question. We're going to kind of go through this quickly. We're going to rein through 3 coaches at a time here in your answer, because one thing we talk about a lot is how Tranquility is a place to improve. Now, we have a lot of people who are being coached and a lot of coaches in our community. Who stands out to you? Best coaches in each tier. NPC, run through your 3.
Okay, my 3. Number 1, HQC on the comments. He's just fantastic. During our match, I allowed him to third-person spectate the match, which is something that you don't have to allow them to do. But I trust him enough to let him do that, and he didn't, make comms or anything. But, he got that third-person point of view, and I think that's going to help out the comments. I feel like he does a lot of work with them both live in-game, but also afterwards by providing VOD reviews and just following up with them in general. So I feel like HQC is a fantastic player and a fantastic coach. Discord tier, Chaplain from Maelstrom. Still coaching. He was like gold on Xbox, I think, Doomfist One Trick for a while. I mean, he managed to get him there. And that's, his accomplishments last season are nothing to be scoffed at. I mean, you don't have to be really good at the game to know how to play the game. And I feel like he proves that.
I think Jane was a gold when he started coaching.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all about reaction times and your physical capabilities. And just because you're not capable of doing it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't teach someone how to do it. The other Transcendence tier, I picked Nerdables. I don't know anything about Transcendence tier or their coaches, so I picked Nerdables because he just does VOD coaching all the time for anybody that's ever asked. He probably does it less now that he's actually like actively participating in Open Division and things like that, but he had a lot of free time on his hands in season 2, season 3, and he helped out a lot of people, including myself. So I gotta hand it to Nerdables. I'm sure that he's like helping out his team quite a bit.
That Nerdables is a first ballot Hall of Famer for a reason, everyone. So something to keep in mind. Specs, let's go. 3 coaches, 1 each tier. What do you got?
Yeah, I'll start off with Transcendence there. It's Ons with Second Chance. Not because he coached me for a season and a half.
And he
because
coached
actually-
you.
Well,
he coached me, so yikes. But knows the game inside and out. I think he's been GM since season 3. Really smart, really good game sense, really good planning. Helps do a lot of stuff for Second Chance behind the scenes that I don't think anyone really realizes. He's a big help to that team and how they're going to progress in the future here. For Discord tier, I have Pyro for Caliber. Again, incredible player that we saw last season. Didn't have as much time to commit to playing this year. Doing a lot of stuff coaching-wise behind the scene for Caliber and a lot of other Discord tier teams as well, just helping out and trying to get everyone to improve at the game. And then Harmony, I'm gonna again. This like like NPC doesn't know much about Transcendence. I don't know a ton about Harmony, unfortunately, but went with the coaching staff for the Fighting Potatoes, and I won't name names. But I'm just gonna. I think that's the coaching staff. So
Well, I'll name names. We have Seaman, the head coach of the Fighting Potatoes, and we also have Splinter, one of the coaches of the Fighting Potatoes. I have no problem naming those names. I help too, but you can mostly thank Seaman and Splinter for getting that team in line. They've been a huge help to that team. And going to actually the Harmony tier, I was going to highlight those two as well for my coaches. I just think they've done an amazing job with a team who has not had any success before. And they brought that team to relevance. So I think that's...
I just thought of another one. I just thought of another one for Harmony tier. I want to say it real quick. Telm. He's been coaching Boop. And for a team that struggled real hard last season.
No, that deserves credit. That deserves credit. That does deserve credit.
Because, Telm is always in there playing with Boop and like helping him out, even when it's just casual, quick play and comp, whatever. He's always popping in there, giving advice, helping out.
Okay, fair. That's one that
for a team that turned things around as they have. They're undefeated right now.
Yes, they are. Yeah, no, that's legit. That's very true. Yeah, Specs, don't you disrespect Helm. No, I'm just kidding. Discord tier for me, I'm going with Smugs. I think Smugs takes a lot after the coach that he was been coached by for the past 2 seasons, and Ons both bring a ton to the table. But Smugs does just so much behind the scenes for that team, so much VOD reviewing, so much like see the spreadsheets and like reviewing plans and kind of going through strategies and comps, and like the dude grinds this game so hard in the coaching aspect. I think honestly, like, I think he's proud of what he's doing in Second Chance. I think he's more proud of anything that Tough Luck does. And I just think that's just how he is as a person. He's a season 2 MVP. He helped carry Otaku to their season 2 championship. And he's there for a reason. He's done an amazing job. But I will say that my Transcendence tier coach, I'm going to go with Secret from Poisonous. I think Secret has done a really, really good job with that team, kind of crafting it together. I'm in their Discord, so I see a lot of their chemistry, a lot of their banter. That team is very tight-knit, and Secret's a big part of that. I think chemistry goes a long way, and honestly, Poisonous right now is playing really good. I see Secret streaming their matches. Poisonous, and I know you said earlier today, Poisonous is not for real. Something to keep in mind, Poisonous was... they lost it in the very last fight on map 4 when they were down 2-1 on the very, very last push in overtime against Second Chance. Like, I know that match went Second Chance's way, but legitimately that could have very easily gone to Poisonous direction. Now, has Second Chance gotten better since then? Yes. Has Poisonous gotten better since then? Yes. We're going to see a roster addition from them later today that's going to make a difference to that team. But I'm just saying, you can't count out Poisonous. I think they're the clear wild card in the Discord, in the Transcendence tier right now. So, and I think Secret is a huge part of that. So moving on then, let's go to the next segment here. And this is the last call for giveaway entries. If you're getting your giveaway entry in for this week's giveaway, get it in now. We are going to the comms check in 3, 2, 1.
I like Steve stories.
This is a story about a team I like to call the Fighting Potatoes. Okay? let me tell you a little bit about the Fighting Potatoes, okay? Season 1, Overwatch Tranquility Community. They come in, they get their shit pushed in a little bit. It just happens, Well, a bit. They get do they win a match? No. Do they win a match the next week? No. Do they win the match the first 7 weeks? Hell no. But then all it took was a little bit of magic against a little team called Solo Cup, and all of a sudden the Fighting Potatoes were a force to be reckoned with. And yeah, maybe it was just because we were literally pocketing one guy. He was carrying the fuck out of us. Yes. Maybe it was because Steve Yeti was the best main tank of all time.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
Actually, the hypest story ever.
Yes.
Big! Just play this corner, play this corner, play this corner.
I have bomb in a second. Oh, it's gonna be huge! Big. Ryan.
Nice.
Widow's still back. Top left. Don't let her. Oh, she got away.
Yeah, she is, but that's good. It's I don't know, it's sparing the rest of us.
That was a huge shatter bomb, Kitty. It's almost like we planned it.
Yeah, like we planned it, totally.
We totally planned it, just like we rehearsed.
What's on?
What's on? It's ball. Widow right side. I'm arc shielding.
Five. Don't miss box one. We got turn. Miss. This is a priority target. Focus Steve.
Yeah, D.Va dead. Jumping by some point.
No, I died.
Colin keeps chasing.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to build shatter.
I'll break. Slamming on them. Okay. Let's swap. Mine. He's one point.
He's there.
Jump. And then. You're dead. Ball.
I'm dead. Pokeball is dead.
Watch out.
Monkey.
Ball. Get the ball.
Hey, ignore monkey. Lucio one. On point. Now monkey. Now monkey.
Monkey.
Oh my god.
Okay, all right. Here's the other one.
Oh,
Okay.
love to hear it.
Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus are sitting around the workshop, okay, and they're getting ready for Christmas. No, they're getting ready. This is still summertime, right? So they're getting ready. Mrs. Claus looks out over the workshop and she says, "Santa, all your elves are so old. Why don't we have any Zoomers in here?" And Santa says, "This is the North Pole, okay? We already have enough snowflakes."
Wow. Ouch. That's
Yeah.
good.
How much time hit too close to home?
Oh, make the North Pole great again. All right.
Mine's dead.
I got flank right down. Next target.
Reset.
I'm almost back.
I think we're up.
We're up 2.
We're up.
We're up. Cold target. May is the next target.
Joe, you need to turn yours to Overwatch Black, please. Excuses.
You guys, funny.
There we go.
Just remember to stay cute and love each other.
We always.
Look to your left and look to your right. These are your best friends forever and always. Look up in the sky at the top of the
That's a fair, bro.
That's the mallard up there looking down. Big smile on his face.
It's a cloud.
I don't see the widow pick.
The mallard's in the cloud.
Good luck.
Right. I'll take the charge for you. My king.
You're such a bitch.
You're so unlucky. I thought I was unlucky for you didn't stop my widow.
You know, there's a reason they call him Zero Game Says Kevin.
That Rhonda absolutely.
Can we call Kevin that? Can we just call him Zero?
Zero.
It's such a cool nickname, but it has such bad context to it.
I'm down.
I like it.
McCree coming in. McCree slept.
Alright.
Good job, guys. That was a good rotation.
We were rotating forever.
We literally didn't know where we were. Abe was literally.
They were more. Hey, if we don't know where we're rotating, they don't know where we're rotating.
Okay, can I just say something crazy? I love crazy. Well, my life has been a series of doors in my face. And suddenly I bumped into you.
I was thinking the same thing, like, cause like I've been searching my whole life to find my own place, and maybe it's the party talking or the chocolate fondue.
But with
With
you,
you, I found my place,
I see your face,
and
and
it's
it's
nothing like I've ever known before.
Love is an open door.
A Zoomer buys a farm. Yes, another one of those. Zoomer buys a farm, and when he gets there, he counts 50 cows. And after a little while, he walks around, and he comes back, and there's only about 40 cows. And there's a damaged part of the corral fence. So he takes the broken parts of the fence down and then moves the other parts of the fence like closer together to kind of fill in the gap, So then he's like, all right, now that I've penned them in, I'm going to go this direction and look for the other 10 cows. So he doesn't find them, and he comes back, and he finds another piece of the corral that's damaged and a few more missing cows. So he does the same thing again by removing the damaged piece of wood, putting the corral kind of back together again a little bit. So then he goes to another section of the farm and comes back, same thing. This happens a few more times. And finally, he's like, okay, forget this. I'm going to go find the county sheriff. So he goes and finds the county sheriff. And when he comes back, there's only one cow left. And the corral is like less than a quarter of its original size. And the Zoomer, he goes to the sheriff and he says, see, it's like I told you, cattle royale.
That was such a long one.
My gosh.
Oh.
So
Dang, dude.
That just hurt. Like, it just hurt.
Okay.
It hurt.
NPC has retired the Zoomer jokes now by popular demand. No.
Thank God. Oh my
God. No. Also, special thanks to Trippy Cow and Waffle Man from Boop for making me have PTSD to every time I watched a movie with my children. Thank you for that. All right. Again, just as a reminder, giveaway entries are closed for this week's entry. Any giveaway entries from now until the end of the podcast will go towards next week's drawing again on the Iris podcast. So make sure to be tuned in for that. Let's move on then to the next segment here, which is the question of the week. This one was submitted by Whitmitten from Modify on Twitter. If you're interested in having your question answered on the Iris podcast, please post the tweet to the Iris podcast when we put out our request for the question of the week. The question, this one is basically to pick a middle of the road team. We haven't really talked about the middle of the road teams. We've talked about the bad teams and the good teams. Haven't really talked about the ones in the middle. Pick a middle of the road team that is most likely to be a big threat this season. Let's start in the Harmony tier and go with NPC.
I'm going to say Jetpack Cats. They're only 1 and 2, but they have a +5 map differential. I feel like they've got some talent on the team. They've got they've got a good structure, and I feel like they can do better. And there's a lot of teams in Harmony tier that are probably as good as they're going to get, and that's it. But then there's a few teams that are just going to keep getting better and better as the season goes on. I think Jetpack Cats is one of those teams.
What do you think, Specs?
I feel like I'm almost cheating with this answer because they're in third in their pool currently. I have Comets. They're third in their pool.
Technically the middle.
Yes, exactly. Behind Fighting Potatoes and Get Off My Land. I think they end up beating Potatoes pretty handily, and for me at least, they're still the team at the top of the pool come the end of the season. I think they absolutely win the title still. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. For Harmony tier, I went with Modify. I think Modify has had a bit of a rough start here, and I think is their team that is very likely to improve as time goes on. They got some really good players who are capable of popping off, especially if hero pools come around. They play some of the more uncommonly played heroes by default. And I think by doing that and having some experience on them, they will be a team to thrive in the upcoming hero pools meta. Even if they end up as a B tier team, which I think they will coming out of the A pool, I think that is still going to be a spot where they can thrive. They'll be up against some challenging teams, but I think they can do it. So I think Modify is a team to watch for sure.
I'm definitely expecting them to have a big win this week.
Well, we'll get to that later, potentially, maybe. Harmony, let's go to Discord tier then. NPC, who do you got as the middle of the road team that's most likely to be a big threat later this season?
I got Beer Pressure. Beer Pressure also 1 and 2, but they have a +7 map differential. That means that they've basically, played 14 maps in 3 weeks. That's 2 map 5s. That's a lot of maps. That means they're going the distance. Even though they're 1 and 2, they've been going the distance every time, and that they're growing. They're growing and they're doing really well. I feel like that their team is exactly 6 players, but they're doing what it takes. I feel like they've got a lot of growth potential there.
Specs, what do you think?
Again, what year is it? 2020, year of unbiased specs. And for that reason, I'm picking Alt F4. I'm gonna be honest here. We finished the pool 3-2 quite easily. We don't lose a map this week. We lose one map because we feel bad next week. Come out into pool B, steamroll that. I'm very confident with how we're gonna go, and I don't know. When I look at a lot of the middle of the road teams here, I think there's a lot of glaring weaknesses. Whether it be obvious weaknesses, whether it be personalities or roster buildup or lack of coaching. I think there's some teams there that are kind of question marks. So I think Alt F4 has all those potentials to kind of go forward there.
Obvious weaknesses.
Obvious
weaknesses.
Obvious.
Discord tier, I'm going with Heckin' Habaneros. I think bringing in Falcon is a good addition to that team. I think the biggest obstacle for Heckin' Habaneros is going to be themselves. And I've said that before, and I'll say it again. If they can keep the mental in line, I think that team has a lot of very talented players that can really make an impact. That's why I think they will. I think they'll get it together as the season goes on here. I think kind of maybe losing a little bit of that early pressure that a lot of teams might have looked at them as maybe a top end team in the Discord tier initially. Maybe some of that pressure coming off of them will maybe help. Maybe some of the roster changes are going to help them. But I think in the end, I think Habaneros are a team to watch as the season goes on for sure. Transcendence tier, NPC, what do you got?
Transcendence tier, I picked Malevolent. They're 1 and 2, but they've already played Wrap It Up and Havoc, okay? After this, they play Maximize and Exiles next. I feel like they can win those. They look like a better team, but they just had a really rough start to the season.
What do you think, Specs?
Middle of the road team that's a big threat in the Transcendence tier. Kind of an oxymoron because there isn't one. Again, I'm going to keep saying this until the end of the season. There is a top 2 teams in the Transcendence tier, and then a 3rd and 4th that are kind of there right behind. Other than that,
who's the who is the 4th? Because I think Poisonous we've highlighted already. Who's the 4th?
I think they're one of them. I have Wrap It Up as one of the other ones.
All right. So pick a middle of the road team then. Who do you think could make a run up to those top spots? That's left.
There isn't one.
There isn't
Wrap It Up. There isn't one, but I guess Wrap It Up. We'll go with it.
The 3-0 team right in the middle of the road.
They're not at the top of their pool, so we'll go with it.
No, that's fair. That's completely fair. I can't disagree with that. I went with Exiles. I think Exiles is a pretty damn good team. Put a really good performance up against Maximize already. Looked really good against Uncommitted. I think they're a team that got good leadership in place. I think they're a team that can make a big run the longer the season goes. And they're a team, by the way, they've been trialing people every week, trying to fill their 6th spot on their roster that's not even filled. They've been bringing in subs every week, trying to find the right fit for the roster. Once they find that fit, that team could be very good. So keep an eye on the Exiles as the season goes on here. That is the end of, again, our question of the week, guys. If you have any questions you want to submit, please make sure to get them in for next week's podcast. I usually post that tweet like Friday, usually. Try to pick a question on that day. So keep an eye out for that. That is at Iris_podcast on Twitter. Throw us a follow while you're there. Quick mention here before we go on. Obviously, guys, this is something kind of, I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. Let's be realistic here. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. Not to minimize anybody else's problems, but, it's affecting my livelihood a lot. My work, my family, my kids, everything. Coronavirus can be a bit of a joke to some people, like, oh, we're young, we're not going to be harmed. But, it's impacting my family right now. And I have a family member who is, or a member of my family who is in the process of being tested. Do I think they're going to be okay? I really do. They're young. They'll be fine. But I'm also concerned for the livelihood of everyone else. part of the advantage of being a part of the Tranquility community is that we have a place here that is separate from that. The real world is going to be a really crushing place for a few months. That's just a simple fact. It's going to kind of suck out there for a little bit. Family members are going to get this sickness. Some of us will get sick. Some of us might have relatives pass away. Just a sad fact of life right now. What's great about this Tranquility community, and I've highlighted it before, is we come together as one. And in this time, I ask all of you to really step up and come forward as one. Because right now, everybody needs your support. Because right now, the real world really sucks. It really sucks out there. And, it's a lot to deal with. And we're doing a lot here to separate ourselves from that. One thing I'm going to say with the Tranquility Community's broadcast moving forward is we're not going to talk about real life impacts of coronavirus. We're going to separate ourselves from that because this is an escape for all of us. This is a place where we have our own simulated sports world, our little ESPN, where we can tune in and talk about how big this big match between Modify and Get Off My Land next week is. And in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of things, does that matter? No, it really doesn't. But this is our chance to escape. And what I love about this place is that we are our own little weird family. And right now, real life sucks. It's time to be there for each other more than ever. So there's a lot going on with mental health right now. A lot of people are dealing with anxiety, physical health. Come together for each other. I can't stress that enough right now because the world needs it. And I know I need it. It's a hard time for all of us. So let's be that community that I know we are capable of. And I'm really excited for the rest of the season because I got nowhere else to go. Do you? No, but that's the last I want to touch on coronavirus on this podcast, guys. I know it's on a lot of people's mind, and I just want Tranquility Community to be the escape for all of you. And I know Cav shares my sentiments. I know NPC, Specs, you guys are with me. Thug, we're all in this together here, guys. We all want this. So. All right. Anyways, that's my soapbox. I'm stepping down now. But since you have nowhere else to be, let's get to announcements. Speaking of nowhere else to be, what's a great thing to do in about 2 weeks? But we have event week. We posted the signups out for the admins for all the events during event week. Or I'm sorry, not for the admins, for the team GMs to sign up their team members for those events. The Widow 1v1 tournament, the Torb Hammers Only, and the 2v2 elimination tournament. We've seen some signups come in, NPC more or less seeing some.
Yeah. We've seen a couple from each team, a couple of teams in each tier, I should say, but definitely not anywhere near all of them. So get with your GM. Tell them if you want to be in the Tuesday Widow 1v1 or the Wednesday, which is April Fool's Day, Torbjorn Hammers Only, or the 2v2 elimination. So just get with your GM, tell them what kind of roles you want to be in, and your GM will respond for the entire team all at once.
So get in for event week next week, guys, or in 2 weeks here. Again, it's after week 5. That following week, that whole week is dedicated just to Tranquility Community events. Tuesday through Thursday, we will have an event every night broadcast, and then Friday will be the admin pugs. Which, if you haven't signed up for that, NPC, I know we've gotten a little bit of interest in that so far, right?
We've gotten quite a bit of interest.
We have already, actually. So great.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. We have enough for I want to say 5 or 6 games
already.
We have enough time for 5 or 6 games, but we've only got maybe 2 to 3 games filled. So there's still spots available. And then there's a spot in there where you can pick what times you're going to be available, and I will just kind of assign you to a team depending on when you're available. So
and
if you're only available for like 30 minutes during that time, then I'll definitely make sure you're on a team during that time.
And as a reminder, guys, we are making that night a big charity night as well. We will be spending a lot of time talking about the charities that we'll be donating to. I know Checkpoint is the charity that we're spending a lot of time focusing on. It's a mental health charity or a charity that devotes resources for mental health with specifically to gamers. And I think it's a charity that speaks well to everyone in the Tranquility community. So we already pulled the drawing. So Jet, your drawing will go for the next drawing. I believe we pulled the drawing. Did we pull the drawing?
Yes, we did.
Okay, sorry.
I pulled all the contestants. Already,
Okay, sorry. I missed that. I was too busy watching the comms check, admittedly. All right, so final announcement then for this is we are still working on the meetup. And again, I hate to talk about the thing again, but the coronavirus is still there. Meetups, unfortunately, just might not happen. It's just kind of a sad fact right now. We're still kind of weighing that. If they happen, it's great. If they don't, sucks. We'll see you season 5, guys. That's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. I hate it for everyone because I know a lot of people have already got plans. They're buying plane tickets. I get it. It sucks. You know what? Maybe we're going to spend some time at BlizzCon next year. If there's a BlizzCon, who knows? Yeah, who knows? Yeah. This thing might go on for a while, but you know, we'll deal with that when we get there, guys. But I know a lot of people have asked questions about the meetup with what's going on. Fact is, we just don't know right now. Yeah. Get back to us. That's the best I can answer. Final announcement, or final 2 announcements really quick. Hall of Fame interviews again got postponed. A lot of real life stuff going on. I don't know if you noticed. And we'll get to the first one next week. I very much promise this. And the last thing is the Beat Drop is returning this week on Thursday. We will bring you an interview with a team on Thursday after the feature match, streamed to our official YouTube channel. It'll be our pilot YouTube stream. We're not moving everything to YouTube. Just the one thing to YouTube on Thursday night after the feature match. We will be looking to add more teams and interviews down the line. So be sure to tune in for that, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. I always love the interviews. So it'll be a lot of fun to bring those back here. Last but not least here, predictions, and then we'll get to the drawing. Predictions. Let's start in the taking a look at all these feature matches this week. We have Comets taking on Fighting Potatoes tomorrow in our weekly kickoff match. On Thursday, we will bring you the action between Beer Pressure and Instalock, 2 up-and-coming teams we are spending a lot of time talking about right now. And last but not least, the Snake Tribe family reunion. Venomous taking on Poisonous in what is a battle of 2 teams on very different ends of the spectrum with regards to SR, but there's definitely some a little bit of sibling rivalry perhaps there. It should be a fun match to watch either way. Let's start with the Harmony tier. Potatoes versus Comets. What do you got?
Potatoes versus Comets.
What do you got, NPC?
As much as I love the Potatoes, I think I'm going to go Comets. Comets 3-1. I think it's going to be a close 3-1. I feel like the Comets have potential there. I mean, Potatoes definitely have a lot of potential. But I just, when I look at the 2 teams, I can't deny the Comets. It's just a fantastic team. And just Potatoes, they place them like you said. They have a lot of one tricks, and I guess Comets have a few of their not necessarily one tricks, but preferred heroes, specialists, if you will. And I feel like Comets are going to come out on top because I feel like their specialist heroes are a little bit more meta, and I don't think they're going to be playing hero bans anytime soon.
What do you think, Specs?
I think the Potatoes have a great group of people there. Very solid, very nice. With that said, they don't take a map this week. Comets 4-0.
I've been coaching the Potatoes, so I will plead the 5th. But I will say that you lack the critical information. Let's go to the Discord tier. NPC, who do you got in the Discord tier matchup between Beer Pressure and Instalock?
Oh boy. All right. So I'm going to go against Specs here, and I'm going to say Beer Pressure 4-0.
Ooh.
Wow. Beer Pressure have exactly 6 players. Impers, Directin, Guava, Evates, and their new player, Retro Life. That's somebody to look out for. That's kind of a wild card in last week's match, but definitely made some improvements, and I feel like the longer they build that synergy, the stronger they're going to be.
Bex, what do you think?
I have Instalock 3-1. Having a Tranquility game tomorrow, then a day off to whether scrim, whether it's a VOD review, whatever it is, and then going back right into Thursday to play Beer Pressure. I think that's a good schedule. It kind of leans into Instalock's hands. Really, I don't believe they're going to be playing with hero bans. And if that's the case, I think that heavily favors Instalock as well. So I have Instalock with 3-1.
I think I'm going Instalock too. I think the pit factor can't be ignored here. The return of Cognitive Pit cannot be ignored at all. And they have a rescheduled match tomorrow from last week against the Habaneros coming up here tomorrow. And I think they might take that. It's gonna be a close match. It's gonna be actually a really close match. I think Instalock will come into this match with some momentum. I think they could leave this week 2-2, and suddenly we've all forgotten about that week 1. So Instalock looks like a pretty good team. I think they do take this one. I think they take it 3-1. What I'm gonna go with. Transcendence tier, the Snake Tribe party. We have Venomous team that is not off to a very hot start versus Poisonous team who's looked quite good. What do you think, NPC?
Okay, so I'll tell you what I know about these two teams. Okay, so Poisonous is when you eat it and it hurts you, and Venomous is when it bites you and hurts you. Okay, that's all I know about these two teams. So I'm gonna go with Poisonous just because they have a better record. That's all I know.
That's fair.
Literally all I know.
That's fair. All right. What do you think? What do you think, Specs?
4-0, 45 minutes.
Whoa, wow. 45 minutes.
It's a quick one.
I will again hype Poisonous. I think they're a better team than what Specs has indicated here. I think saying they are just separating them away from. I don't think that they are as good as Havoc or Second Chance today. Do I think they can put a very competitive match against both those teams right now? Yes, no question. I think Second Chance's improvements are a little bit better than Poisonous improvements right now, but I think Poisonous is still a really good team. You'd be foolish to count them out. I think they're easily the number 3 team right above Wrap It Up, I would say pretty confidently. But Poisonous, for me, I think they take this one. I think it's going to be a 3-1. I really think we're going to see some shenanigans, if I'm being honest with you. I think Poisonous is going to have some fun playing with their food. And I mean, it's not a shot on Venomous. It's just Poisonous is the better team of the two. And I think I think they're gonna have some fun with it. They're a partner team. They ended up in the same pool, and now they get to play each other on a stream. So I think they're gonna kind of have fun with it. And I think it's gonna go 3-1 to Poisonous, just because I think they're gonna have some fun, and I think they're just gonna mess around with each other a little bit. And honestly, do I entirely blame them? Nah. Gonna just have some fun with it, you know? I mean, Poisonous is the clear favorite. Denying that is foolish, but I think they'll have some fun with it. I think it'll be a fun match to watch just because I think it'll be two teams just kind of letting loose and being a little silly, you know. But that team is really good. Poisonous has got some really good pieces. I think you got to keep an eye out on some of those pieces on that team. They're way better than people give them credit for. You know, iMonkey, the recent pickup they're bringing in, Quank, is a very good main tank. They had a lot of good pieces on their team. That team's only going to get better and better. So last but not least is your upset special. NPC, who do you got?
Upset special for me, In-Laws over Second Chance. We saw a very dominant performance by Second Chance last week, but that was against a team that was a little bit different. And I feel like the In-Laws were in for a good show. I feel like the In-Laws have what it takes to take down Second Chance. Second Chance coming in maybe a little cocky after their last victory, so we'll see. I don't know.
What do you think here? Max, go ahead.
What? Is it what? Okay. But because
Texas
on me,
hard. Texas hard, okay?
Oh Lord. Because on me, I have to pick one for every tier. So real quickly, Orbit over Maximize, Illusion over Tough Luck, Holy Jalapenos over Flashbacks.
Is Holy Jalapenos over Flashbacks really an upset?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
I don't.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and say that right now. I don't. I think Jalapenos are a really good team. I don't see how that's an upset. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, the predictions channel does not say that's an upset either.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about that one. But going back to the predictions channel, they did make one prediction that I think is crazy. And that was Maximize losing to Orbit.
Yeah.
I love Orbit.
I do too. Something about their logo. It just makes me feel like home.
Maximize is going to beat them. But the real upset is going to be Modify taking down the juggernaut that is Get Off My Land.
How is that even an upset?
The juggernaut of Get Off My Land. Get Off My Land, undefeated to this point, crushing the preseason champion, just dominant in every week.
I don't know how.
And the powerhouse of Get Off My Land, only comparable to Havoc in my opinion. I think the Tranquility community right now it's Havoc 1A, Get Off My Land 1B, and then down to like F, you get to like the next team.
Okay,
So,
hold on a second. Everybody in here, if you're Zoomers, you need to Google this. Google Mr. Magoo. Okay, because that's 100% how we're winning games. Mr. Magoo. It's a cartoon. You can Google it. It's literally how it works.
I'm actually curious to see if anybody actually knows what that is under the age of 30.
No, nobody knows what Mr. Magoo is. I have an alt account named Mr. Magoo for this reason, because that's how I win. I don't know. I don't even know. It just happens.
A bunch of happy accidents. That's the best description.
Happy accidents. I know. That's us.
What am I watching?
Last but not least, guys, let's get into that drawing winner for week 2. Who took the drawing today? NPC, what you got?
Random number generator says entry number 630. Of 630, 186. It is Malalia.
Malalia. Congratulations, Malalia. Your week 2 giveaway winner. We'll get in touch with you soon and get the whatever it is over your way. Again, remember to sign up for the week 3 giveaway. Make sure you're checking in those giveaway points so you can get those in there and get in line for that next giveaway. And as a reminder, a special giveaway to come for the event week. Stay tuned for that.
I'm gonna be holding all my points, hoarding my points next week so I can cash them all in. That's
all right. And as a reminder, again, we'll have broadcasts all week this week. Join us. It's going to be a lot of fun here in the Tranquility community coming up here, really in the movement week of Stage 1, wrapping up Stage 1. Here we go, everybody. Let's have fun this week. For NPC and Specs and Thug, who is not here with us today. Good luck on the move, buddy. I'm Ski Free Eddie, and we will see you again next week. Talk to you soon.
Experience tranquility.